Rio Ngumoha. Remember the name, because that kid has got everything you want in a young winger. I'm talking about the profile. I'm talking about the fact that when he gets the ball, he only goes forward. When he gets the ball, you don't know if he's going to go to the inside of the defender, to the outside of the defender. You don't know if he's going left or right, in or out. He gets the ball from outside the box and he can drive in the box. The kind of wingers you want in modern football, that I think modern football lacks, is inside to out, progressive, ball carrier wingers that are direct, that are fearless, that take people on. Look at Lamine Yamal. He's got that sort of ability, fearless, take people on. And I'm not comparing Rio Ngumoha to Lamine Yamal. That would be crazy. But I'm talking as a profiler player. The ball sticks to your feet like glue, eager to score, eager to attack, eager to be direct, confident on the ball. There's a talented player in Rio Ngumoha. But also, let's not let Rio Ngumoha distract us from Trey Ione. Also fantastic talent. We saw a bit of him last pre-season. I think he needed to bulk up physically, but technically a very good player. Liverpool have got two very good young players. So in today's video, we're going to break down their 3-1 win, because not only are we going to talk about the youth, I thought Frimpong was really good, driving down that right-hand side, getting in more advanced roles. We'll talk about that. But obviously, we want to talk about Florian Wirtz. Not just the goal, but it was the pressing. The pressing from Florian Wirtz impressed me today. Hugo Ekitike, we'll talk about his debut and in general. And I'm going to be brutally honest. I almost fell asleep watching that first half. I will say first of all, the pitch was atrocious. The quality of pitch was atrocious. That's not good for the players. Second of all, it was just, I think Salah had some moments of creativity. I think Ekitike was dropping deep. Wirtz had some pressing. Gakpo had a chance. But it wasn't the best first half football from Liverpool. I still think, and I think everyone thinks this, Liverpool, Isak, amazing. Your midfield, amazing. But your defence, I'm going to say this, you need Gay. Konate's head's in Madrid. Gomez is injured. Van Dijk's 34. Kirkers and Frimpong were very attacking-minded. Frimpong was basically a winger today. We're going to talk about Frimpong because he's going with Conor Bradley a lot. And I don't know if Frimpong is back up to Salah and then plays right back if Conor Bradley gets injured, or because maybe he's thinking of playing like someone like Szoboszlai right back and then inverting him into the 10 role. I don't know. It's interesting to see what Arne Slot's plan will be. Will he basically play wing backs and start Frimpong? Is he going to play Frimpong further up and make him compete with Salah with a right back and thing? It'll be interesting to see what Arne Slot does. I think he's experimenting a bit because it's pre-season, but I'm telling you this now. Frimpong's one of those where if I know Frimpong's a guaranteed starter, he's going right in my FPL, because the amount of crosses that guy put in, I think he got the assist in the end for was it Ione? Wow. But I want to talk about Ione. I want to talk about Ngumoha. I want to talk about Wirtz. I want to talk about Ekitike. I want to talk about the Liverpool game in general. But Rio Ngumoha was impressive. So my general game overview was 0-0 at half-time. Then you conceded early. I do think there's areas where you need to prove in transition. Defensively, you just need it's just depth. It is just depth. Like, Liverpool have this great 11, the best 11 in the world, but the depth there. The first 45, it wasn't like bad, but it was just poor pitch. Probably wasn't helping. I don't think players wanted to risk injury. I just felt the last half an hour when the B team, I'm going to call it, came on, the injection of energy was there. I just thought it was better, in my opinion. The final 30 minutes, I think he had a tempo, flair. And look, I thought the academy players were really good, Ione and Ngumoha. And we talk about, and I was saying this the other day, how, okay, Diaz is gone, you bring in Isak, great, but I was thinking you still need a left winger, but I don't know if I think that anymore. I don't know, I feel like you've got Gakpo and Ngumoha for the left. You've got Salah, because I think Chiesa is going to go, and Frimpong for the right, potentially. And then you've got Ekitike, probably Nunes if he stays, who can actually also play out wide, and so can Ekitike play out wide, and Isak in the middle. And I'm thinking, actually, to be fair, because Florian Wirtz can also play in the front three if need be, and Szoboszlai could play in the 10. I was thinking, to be fair, maybe you can get away with not getting a winger. Like, I look at Liverpool right now, and after Isak, if you said left wing or centre back, I think 90% of people would agree with me, centre back. Even though Diaz is fantastic, I think looking at Ngumoha, particularly, and I know it's a pre-season game against a Japanese side, but also the other pre-season games, he was good, he was impressive. I think Liverpool have to go for Gay next. I think that's what they have to do. I just think that's going to be an issue. Like, Liverpool have the best attack. City might have slightly better depth, but Liverpool have the best attack, Liverpool have the best team, but Liverpool don't have that defensive depth. And an injury to Van Dijk, and Liverpool favourites to win the league, but an injury to Van Dijk, it could be different situation, because I like Joe Gomez, but he's not reliable in that sense of staying fit. But yeah, we're going to talk about Rio, we're going to talk about Naoni, we're going to talk about Wirtz, we're going to talk about Ekitike. So first of all, Rio Ngumoha was 16, and he was incredible. His dribbling, his ball manipulation was fantastic. Now look, he's 16. I don't want to get carried away. Just because I'm saying Rio Ngumoha is insane doesn't mean he's going to win the Ballon d'Or. But for his age, for what I expect from 16-year-olds, if even from what I expect from 17, 18, 19-year-olds, he was fantastic. If he was a 24-year-old, we'd still be saying he was probably man of the match. He was man of the match for me. He was fantastic. He came on and he was danger, and they could not deal with him. The defenders could not deal with him. They didn't know what way he was going to go. Every time he got the ball, he would take it away and he would just run. There wasn't much happening down that side before Rio Ngumoha came on. There wasn't much luck breaking down those low blocks, finding space. His ability to find space, his ability to just wreak havoc. He was so fast, he was so unpredictable, and every time he got the ball, he was almost beating many men. So many times. The goal he got was fantastic. There were so many people he could pass to. And the only criticism I'd have for him would be there was an opportunity just before he scored where he had the ball and he hung on for it too long and he shot, and maybe he could have passed there. But that's not really a criticism, because that's so common in young players. Decision making, holding on the ball a little bit too long, end product can be where young players struggle, and that's completely normal. But everything he did was fantastic. And again, you look at Lamine Yamal, the Inter game where Barcelona were relying on Lamine Yamal to turn the semi-final around. Lamine Yamal, yeah, he was holding on the ball a lot, he was having shots a lot, and it was a lot of, and I'm not saying that Rio Ngumoha is going to be Lamine Yamal. I'm not comparing in that sense, but I'm saying of, when you see Lamine Yamal a little bit, that Rio Ngumoha was giving that kind of vibe. Like, he might not be anywhere near Lamine Yamal's level, he might not have the career Lamine Yamal has, but what I'm trying to say is, when Lamine Yamal gets the ball and he dribbles and he takes people on, it was just very similar in today's game. Different context, pre-season friendly, but as a trait, as an attribute, as a style, Rio Ngumoha, baller. And I've been talking about Max Dowman, fantastic for his age, Arsenal Academy player, 15, ridiculous. But Rio Ngumoha, I think with Diaz leaving, is more likely to have a breakout season than Max Dowman. One, because he's a year and a half older. Two, because he's more likely to have minutes there. And three, Max Dowman is so young, he can be developed. But those two players that I've watched are ridiculous. One Arsenal, one Liverpool. Naoni's also fantastic. Do not sleep on Naoni. Fantastic player. Now, this time last year, I spoke about Bergvall. Tottenham brought him in. People thought I was hyping him up. Bergvall was arguably Tottenham's best player last season. I think he got their player of the season. He was fantastic, Bergvall. 2 summers ago, I was hyping up Kobbie Mainoo. I got told off for hyping up Kobbie Mainoo. What did he do? He came back from his injury, then started for England in a World Cup final at 18. Came back from injury, 6 months, Man United's best player, in a crap midfield. Started for England in the World Cup final. Started for England World Cup semi-final, was one of the best players on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? I hyped up Kobbie Mainoo 2 summers ago. I saw it in pre-season. Look what happened. Bergvall, I hyped him up last pre-season. I saw what happened. I don't want to hype up Dowman and Ngumoha because they were 2 years younger than Mainoo and 2 years younger than Bergvall. And I still think 18 and 16, those 2 years difference is like 5 years because of just the amount of development that can happen between 16 and 18, of course. But I feel like he's going to have a season. I think Diaz's sale, I think he could step up. You never know. Like, the Premier League is different. Under the pressure is different. But there's every pre-season game he's impressed. I think maybe, and it's a difficult one because it's not like he's playing for a team like a Brighton where, you're not in a tight, like, they're not in a tight race every week. So the standards aren't going to be ridiculous as high. So it's like with Liverpool, with you being in a tight race, with every game being so important, the question is, had he filled Diaz's boots? At 16, that's a lot of pressure. Obviously you get the once-in-a-lifetime Yamals. The question is, can he fill that boots when every game is going to be so important? Whereas if you're at a lower down Premier League team, you can be 16, play, but you're allowed opportunities to have bad games. Whereas at Liverpool, you can't be a passenger. Now, it's normal at 16 to have bad games. He could play 20 games next season, and 15 games he could be insane, and 5 games he could be crap. It's so normal to have bad games. The question is, like, do Liverpool go for a left winger, or do they take the risk with Ngumoha? because there is a lack of depth on Liverpool's wings. Ekitike can obviously play there. Isak could play out wide. Isak and Ekitike can play together. If Nunes stays, he can play out wide. But I also think if you had to choose between winger and centre back, you go for centre back, because Rio Ngumoha could be the backup option for left wing behind Gakpo. He could, because if we're going off pre-season, it looks great. But again, it is only pre-season. I don't want to put pressure on the kid. I don't think Liverpool want to put pressure on the kid and be like, hey, you're our backup left winger. Really important season. Just won the league. Want to win the league again. It's a lot of pressure to put on an 18-year-old, let alone a 16-year-old. But he is a very good player. The way he was driving through the defenders, the way he was making things happen, he is a very, very talented player. And maybe he can be the DS replacement. And I was looking at Liverpool, and I was looking at what Liverpool have. You do have a young squad. We obviously talk about Salah aging, Van Dijk aging, and they're two players that I do think you have to look at and think, can you find those long-term replacements? Of course. But Salah, Van Dijk are aging, but you look at Wirtz, 22, Ekitike, 23, Kirkus, 21. Obviously, Nauni's 18, and Ngumoha's 16. Gravenberg's 23. I think McAllister is, 25? I'm going to Google that. McAllister's 26. Szoboszlai must be, 25, 26. Szoboszlai's 24. You know, it's very, very young in that sense. Gay would come in, he'd be 24. Frimpong's 24, 25. You know, Isak is still a good age if you get him over the line, which looks likely at 25. You know, Gakpo, I believe, must be 25, is he? 26. So it's like, yeah, we talk about Salah and Van Dijk being old, but Liverpool have a good young core. And also what Liverpool have is, we talk about Man United having all these great youngsters, but then at 18, 19, we're relying on Kobbie Mainoo and Garnacho to be our best players at 18, 19. They won us the FA Cup. They carried us in Ten Hag's last full season. And that's not healthy. Whereas if you're an 18, 19, 16, 17-year-old at Liverpool, you've got such good players around you that you're able to just go in and do your thing, but there's not that pressure on you to be the guy to save them. Whereas at Man United, Garnacho's got to save us. Rashford had to save us. Mainoo's got to save us. We need a saviour. Whereas at Liverpool, you've got such a good side that it's a healthy environment for these young players to go and develop and become better when they've got the likes of Van Dijk and Salah to learn from as well. So yeah, I also want to talk about Florian Wirtz. I thought Florian Wirtz was excellent, got a goal. But what I stood out about Florian Wirtz was his pressing. His pressing, his movement, his work rate was excellent. And I've noticed something in these preseason games. And there was a time where I think Salah should have scored and he looked to pass. But I'll say this now, when Wirtz could have assisted Salah. But I'll say this now. Salah's looking for Wirtz a lot. Have you noticed that? Salah's looking for Wirtz a lot in the box, because Wirtz gets quite far forward there. You can see that Szoboszlai was fantastic last season, but there was questions over his output, whereas Wirtz, I feel like, is a more hungry goal scorer. And his positioning, his movement, Wirtz, is clever. The way he can take the touch and combine with players. You know, with Wirtz, he's an intelligent player when it comes to movement, first touch, control, quick passes, quick movement. Pressing is good, movement is good, but I think him and Salah are going to link up incredibly well next season. I really do. Diving into Ekitike, already clips going around of Ekitike having a bad touch and people trying to call him crap. This is what happens when you support a big club. If Victor Gyökeres has a bad game tomorrow, the same thing will happen to him. If Mbeumo has a bad preseason game for Man United, the same thing will happen to him. Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, the three biggest clubs in England, you buy a player that other clubs wanted, and Mbeumo was wanted by a lot of clubs, Ekitike was wanted by a lot of clubs, Gyökeres was wanted by a lot of clubs. If they don't look good in their first preseason game, they're going to get clipped up by rivals. They could have a really good game, and if they have one moment that's bad, rivals are going to clip it up, and rivals are going to be like, the rubbish. Do you know what I mean? But look, Ekitike was solid. I mean, look, we didn't score. There was nothing outrageous that happened. But you could see what he was about. You could see his movement. You could see he was dropping deep. You could see he was technically good. You could see that he played a big part in Gakpo's early chance. He was linking play. You could see that Ekitike you could see from that game that in terms of balance and dynamics and in terms of link up, Ekitike, Salah and Gakpo could be a very fluid front three. You could see that from that game. He's not going to be fully sharp, but he's technically good. He was dropping deeps. You could see the balance. People will focus, oh, he had a bad touch. Cool, whatever. Okay, that's what people focus on. They focus on the negatives because they're rivals. And you have to just look at it in the context of, look, I don't like Liverpool. I'm a Man United fan. I can't stand Liverpool. But I'm not going to look at a guy who's making his first appearance for Liverpool in a pre-season game and go, that touch was bad. Let's clip it up and call him a flop. No, I'm looking at the wider picture. Ekitike was solid. You could see what he was about. You could see what the player was about. and you can see the potential there, and you can see how it would work, and you can see how the balances would work. And I'd like him at Man United. He's a very technically good player. But anyway, in conclusion, Liverpool need a centre back. They need defensive depth. They're vulnerable in transition. You could argue DM, because Endo is now coming at centre back, just for sort of depth there and pressure off Gravenberch. But look, you never replace Matip. You haven't replaced Kwanzaa. You have to get centre back. Rio Ngumoha could be the left winger. You have to focus on centre back after Isak. But there's good players there. There's good options there. I thought McAllister, Curtis Jones, and Ione were really taking care of the ball well in that second half as well. Technical players there. Be interesting to see what happens. Darwin Núñez could go. Harvey Elliott could go. I think you've still got funds after bringing Isak in if you get him for other stuff. But yeah, it was a good win for Liverpool in the end. Wasn't the best first half, good second half. Frimpong looked electric. And yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.